Water is an important source of nutrients for the human body. Your body uses water in all of its cells, organs, and tissues to help regulate its temperature and maintain other bodily functions. Because your body loses water through breathing, sweating, and digestion, it's important to rehydrate by drinking fluids and eating foods that contain water. This is something we are told by our parents, doctors, and even friends. The amount of water a person intakes allows them to create energy. Water energizes the food particles, then able to supply the body with this energy during hydration. This is why food without water has absolutely no energy value to the body. Proteins such as fats and alcohols, as in beer, wine, and spirits, also provide energy in the form of calories. And protein does give you glucose, but it takes a long time, relatively speaking, for your body to get it. For example, the water allows hydration in the body to convert to calories. Calories is a unit for work and energy. If you are consuming more energy, such as food, however, if it is not all consumed, then it is stored later, such as fat. The level of stored energy in one's body does not completely diminish if there is no water. Instead, it changes forms. It transforms into stored fat that can be later used. However, some of the energy can be exerted throughout the day and put into other objects, for instance, into the muscles of the human body. Thus, the potential energy the water creates then becomes kinetic energy for the human body to use as energy. While some of the water used is for food, we do not just use water to hydrate our bodies, but also in our everyday lives. You probably do not even realize how much you use water in your everyday life. But where do we get this water? While there are many locations where our water comes from, I'm going to talk about the Navajo Generating Station located in Arizona. The station's purpose is to power Arizona's water canal, which relies on the station for 90% of its pumping energy. In order to power this generating station, you need thermal energy to convert it to chemical energy, because if there is a chemical change happening, it produces even more thermal energy. Therefore, if you are heating the water in order to convert this to thermal energy, you need specifically to use qualitative, because the water to create steam, which is thermal, to turn it into and create the turbine to turn, you need kinetic energy, specifically mechanical energy, because of the turns on the turbine. This process creates the quantitative amount of, over one day, heaves trillions of gallons of water out of the river and shoots it over the mountains and through the canals. The power the Navajo Generating Station uses each day is equivalent to the amount of work divided by 86,400 seconds in a day, which is how many seconds are in a day. The dam shown here is a cleaner source of energy and a much more environmentally friendly source of energy in comparison to the Navajo Generating Station. This typical hydroelectric dam is an example of gravitational potential energy because of the reservoir that is located at the top portion of the dam. This dam uses the gravitational force of 9.8 meters per second squared to power the turbine, as it is converted into kinetic energy that spins the turbine and creates energy for the generator. The momentum of the body of water at the top of the reservoir is at 0. However, as it moves down towards the intake/penstock, it uses the gravitational force of 9.8 meters per second squared. The water from the Navajo Generating Station does not only go to your faucets at home. It also is used for intensive irrigation, and it is commonly used in industrial crop production. Agriculture accounts for 80% of the water used in the United States. In much of the world, water for agricultural irrigation is taken from groundwater that does not replenish itself. Intensive irrigation can also lead to salination, deposits of salt in soil, eventually leading to declines in yield. Industrial farming is part of the reason why there is a rapid replenishment of water resources around the world, but specifically in America, because of the lack of regulation on our water. What happens if this water goes away? Well, then all of the above goes away. Excessive water use for agriculture is leaving rivers, lakes, and underground water resources dry in many irrigated areas. Excessive irrigation can also increase soil salinity, and wash pollutants and sediment into rivers, causing damage to freshwater ecosystems and species, as well as those further downstream, including coral reefs and coastal fish breeding grounds. An even further consequence of lack of regulation on our water could leave Americans without water resources. This needs to be talked about because of the both economic consequences as well as ecosystem losses that we would face. This problem is something that most people are unaware of. However, it needs to be addressed because there are detrimental effects. Please help to raise awareness for what I see as an eminent problem in our country.